All right, hey everybody, it is time for a global news update, and thankfully today, your global update is going to have a little bit of a JP update at the same time, because I'm just that nice. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about Global's update, which will focus around, mainly the new units. So we have 3 new units and 1 new vision card, if I'm remembering correctly, coming out on Global this week, which is a fair amount of stuff. For people who are worried that the Halloween units were not going to show back up on, Global, well, I guess good news is the fact that, yeah, you are getting a new Halloween unit this year. You don't have to wait till next year or anything. I mean, the Halloween units thus far have seemed to be tracking very well to come out on Global in the same year. And that is both kind of going to tell you a little bit of what I think of Halloween Lucia, but we'll get there. So first off, I'm just going to go over a couple of units that are, maybe a little bit less aware to people, which is Chunac and Revelka. And starting with the easy one, especially if my controls want to work, Revelka. Revelka is just a free MR, basically doesn't cost essentially too terribly much to build. For me, and my account, I ended up getting sidetracked with her. But some of the nice things here is her Trust Mastery, which you can build really well with runes to be stronger for Energis coming into the future. We don't see too many weapons for certain classes, and Energis is definitely one of them. So I think that this TMR is pretty good. But Revelka is essentially a free character. You just do the event, you get her shards, and you can build her. And live happily ever after. And honestly, her design's really cool. For me, I just kind of got sidetracked on fire because I'm still waiting for a really good reason to actually put some effort into the fire element again. But yeah, Revelka is essentially just a free character, and you should build her. So yeah, that's my spiel on Revelka, but we have another character to talk about. This time in the water element, Chunac. And Chunac is, how to say this? Well, this is a character that personally on my account, I'll just show him. I've gotten him a considerable bit later. I would put him in the same class kind of as Farm, a water slash character that's kind of a little bit more evadey, kind of a little bit more of a speed character, kind of a little bit more of a chaining character. Very much showed up in PvP during the weeks while he was a bonus unit, and hasn't really shown up since then, especially with Celeste, Astoria, and Preem now on JP. I haven't really seen too terribly much of this character since he came out on JP in PvP content, but PvE content he is perfectly fine, and hey, I'm the person who built kind of his spiritual other, which is Farm right away. And so this is kind of a thing, like, if you like this character and like his design and everything, plenty fine. But if you're looking for him to redefine what water is as an element, even with his vision card, just doesn't feel like it. And yeah, that's basically kind of it, and my thoughts about this guy. I am slowly building him, but for globalers, he's a permanent addition to the pool, and I don't consider him something that you need to rush down, and definitely I don't think he is worth a pity. Now, he could come out on Global with an incredibly low pity. I don't think that's going to happen, and you know what, I even think that he's a little bit overcosted as a 90 character. But again, just my opinion on what I have seen most people use him as and where I generally feel like. But hey, PvE character, go nuts if you want. So yeah, that's that. And then if we just take a look about what else is going on Global this week, why, it's Halloween Lucia. All of your guys' prayers have been answered. And yeah, there isn't really too terribly much to say here. Halloween Lucia is available currently on JP. As you can see, something got taken off my Garvel. I'm sure you guys will criticize me for it because, of course, something. But anyway, jokes aside, it is the addition of a new dark cost character on JP, and there's my party, as you can see. Maybe we can just throw something on Garble so people don't feel weird or anything. But you know what? I've actually kept this fairly even between Helena this time as well as Lucia, so we can kind of get a roughly similar idea. Again, something to remember with Lucia is that she is a 70 cost character, and that is always going to be a major factor for how good she is and whether or not she's actually worth the investment. Now, for people who are like, are you going to show her off in this video? No, I'm going to wait and get some more data on her before I go and use the friend unit. And I also have a stream later tonight where I probably will do some kind of recording and fuller review later. But let's take a look at Halloween Lucia. And here are her stats. I'll let you pause the video if you want to take a closer look at it. And also we'll take a quick look at her resistances as well. And for comparison, I'm just going to put Black Witch Helen on the screen, who is a mage in this party, in this composition, and you can see basically her stats, pause if you like, and her resistances. And I have to say, for the most part, they feel pretty comparable, with one major difference, and that would be the defense on this character. And so let's talk about what's special that comes with her. First off, her weapon. Her weapon is essentially a exclusive weapon for her. If you look at the bonuses off of it, it's only for her and no one else, so you can't leverage this book on other characters, which is a little bit disappointing, but still, it is what it is kind of thing. Now, it has magic attack resistance penetration on it, which means that it's pretty good about dealing damage, even if its stats aren't the necessarily highest yet. And it does have a little bit of accuracy and critical on it, but I don't think that will matter too terribly much. What also is interesting is it does have magic attack up for Lucia, defense debuff resistance of 50, which is something that we also saw on Preen's weapon a few weeks ago. And last but not least, human killer for magic attacks as well by a factor of 10. This is a lot for a specific weapon to empower this character. And honestly, the fact that it's just tailor-made for her even feels better than Preen's weapon the previous week, because this just is kind of ridiculous that there's actually all of these bonuses, although I imagine that they are calculated into it. What's also interesting is her TMR, which, aside from being a 64 HP piece of clothing and armor that also has critical and HP and defense and spirit on it, also has this, a ability that not only increases her, but other characters' damage limits. Now, by the actual numbers yet, don't know. It just came out a few hours ago, and hasn't been updated on Wotv Calc. But I would assume that it's probably about 2,000, 2,500, maybe, but we'll see. We haven't really seen a TMR with this ability, so kind of interested to see where the numbers end up. And as I said, pretty high amount of magical power on here, but also amount of defense. So let's talk about some of the other stuff that's kind of interesting with her, since this job is brand new. Honestly, my overall impression right now is that I don't think that this is going to be any kind of game-breaking job. The job itself seems pretty darn good. You know, it's good at the very least, but it doesn't feel like it's really going to be changing too terribly much of, like, it's not going to be a job that we're all going to be cheering for quite so much. And that's also because I'm just curious about when other characters get it, whether the job level 25 will be drastically different. But chance to make yourself less likely to be targeted when receiving damage and greatly increase area attack resistance for a single turn is quite the defensive ability. The way to look at her is that she is effectively just a really kind of tanky mage against range attacks, and not so great against other mages. So you know what, if you were against Elena, that might be a little bit more of a tougher matchup, since she's very, very geared towards physical attacks. As for support skills, defense up, as well as, just going to double check this one before I speak, mental spirit penetration up, so getting around defense as well up, so her own defense, and HP up and magic power up make for a interestingly bind tank. But so what do we really have here that's interesting in her kit? Well, I'm just going to jump ahead and talk about her job level 25 ability, which is your ultimate payoff for getting this character, which is this highly ranged single target ability. And what it does is it actually creates... Shoot, I had it and then I lost it. It's called Misery Toad, which is target gets to only use move and attack and has the Toad status effect for 3 turns. Attack and defense are lowered, magical power dependent damage large after applying the Toad effect. So it's quite a debuff ability with a status effect that really isn't that well protected against. Honestly, pretty interesting. And only 26 AP too makes it quite potentially very, very interesting. That's the one that I wanted to talk about the most. Her limit burst I've already talked about, but it's essentially deal damage, higher accuracy, and absorb part of the damage as being as HP for herself, so kind of a vampire effect. Also activates additional damage for 3 turns, so kind of a similar ability to Lightning and Astrius. Now, really quickly, Thief, she does have Steel Heart, which I think will probably be interesting for some people, because that's just really good. She also has Steel Time, which will be very useful in the future for guild raids. Things that stand out very quickly about Black Mage, Drain, which keeps her HP high, which, you know, against physical units, she has a real chance of surviving, I think. She also has Flare, too, which is always very strong, and Absorb targets TP if you really want it to. As for Grimoire's sub-abilities, coming back around to this now, she does have a confusion-based ability that deals damage and can cause confusion on the target for multiple turns. She also has a healing ability to recover HP of allies and self. I'm very curious about how exactly this ability is, how good it is of a heal. It's centered around herself, so I don't think it'll ever be too much, but I'm also curious if her AI will use it. It does actually have a casting speed, which is a little bit concerning, but not too terribly much. As for other abilities of note, she does have a large AoE that deals magic-dependent damage, defense penetration rate down for 3 turns, and CT up for herself when 2 enemies are incapacitated or killed. So a little bit of a tempo boost. As for her direct line in front of her, does have Sure Hit, greatly reduces reaction rate ability and deals magical damage. And just continuing on, we also have a Spell Shield, raises the defense of allies within centered around self, and creates a barrier for yourself that takes a certain amount of damage. I've read this basically as being like Rayches, but I'm not sure on the total values just yet. Also, this ability does get into EX, as does her large AoE ability, but I think I already covered the descriptors of what it is. Of course, more data on the actual numbers later if there's anything that is interesting. As for her protection spell here, applies the effect of reducing the target's AP when an attack hits for 3 turns. Protect effect that reduces physical damage and gives an additional offense of defense debuff resistance increases during the protect effect. So long as she has protect, she's totally fine. And that's the thing. Like, this unit is very, very good against other physical targets, but doesn't really have anything in her kit against magical. And that's kind of the story here. Lucia being a limited cost against other physical definitely does have a place, but she could also get into a lot of trouble against certain light-based units. I think that Elena could be a natural kind of counter for her, or at the very least, they could be kind of an interesting matchup to see who kills the other one first, because one is sure hit, one is evasion, one is light magic, one is dark magic, and could be a interesting little head-to-head battle. But yeah, Halloween Lucia does look like a interesting character and will always be a huge consideration because of just a limited cost here. But do I think that she is going to be as long-term useful? Maybe. Quite a few of her abilities do have casting time, which is automatically worse than Arithmetician. Any abilities where you have casting time can potentially get you into trouble. But as you can see, most of her abilities don't have it and are just insta-cast. I think End Acceleration or High Acceleration, her large AoE ability, originally does have casting time, but into her EX removes that casting time, which is a pretty big upgrade in terms of DPS. So Halloween Lucia, if you are going to get her, I mean, she's limited time. You are going to have to max her out to really make her useful, which is, you know, kind of always the story. And I think that there is some potential here. The Grimoire Master, if nothing else, I love the fact that it just gets the Toad status effect, which is kind of cool. And I want to believe that it's actually going to be way better than it is. And as for her kit, I mean, she has a lot of interestingness for potential survivability, but without things like Re-Raise or Immortal Spirit, it also might be enough to get her there. She's either going to survive or she's going to die really, really hard. And especially against mages, I'm not feeling super confident about that. But early numbers, just to give an idea to globalers about whether or not they will get this character. I mean, you've seen the stats, you've seen the numbers, so the last thing we need to talk about is the vision card here. The vision card is just kind of nuts. 99, as you can see here, 153 magic, 272 HP, and also 7 defense on it is a pretty nice vision card for stats. 80 cost as well, which is fine. Individual, we are looking at magic attack up of 10%, AoE attack up, or AoE resistance, I should say, up of 10. As for strike resistance of 16 is not too impressive at all. Single attack resistance of 20 for maxing out the vision card. But the grand thing that most people are going to want it for is human magic killer of 30. Now, this does work with axes and spears, which honestly that human magic killer is not feeling too at home there. But Black Mage, including Sakura, including Aerith, also are on this vision card to get bonuses. And then we have also just some books that are also, I gotta stop saying also, that are getting improved as well. So things such as even Velis is on here. This vision card, if you consider the fact that you are getting a triple hit chaining out of it, that you're getting a hecking good amount of magic power between two different types, there might be enough here to make a long sustainable party that can also dish out a heck lot of human killer in a magical. Pretty interesting. I mean, the thing is that the other Halloween vision card, the one that physical triple hit ability, has proven to be a long time valuable card, and I expect this vision card to be the exact same. But as for the vision ability, I think that's the real priority of what you would want on this vision card, and it's probably good enough to recommend the vision card in itself. But, you know, so let me know, just based on the information I was able to give you guys today, are you interested in any of the characters or the vision card we mentioned? I don't think I missed anything else. Chunac's vision card, which is a kind of water... Oh no, it is coming to global. Wait, hold on. I need to check the dates. Bring this up. Chunac's vision card... Okay, so Chunac's release is the 19th. Halloween Lucia is the 19th. The old Halloween units are coming back, and Nightmare. Okay, the Nightmare of Halloween is releasing the following week, along with Dissecting Destiny. All right, well, I kind of covered that. As I guess I haven't talked about this, Intersecting Destinies, luck up, critical evasion up, slash attack resistance, piercing up. Honestly, slash attack resistance is obviously very good, given that the Water Slash is particularly quite good. But again, Vision card is fine. Oh, they gave Jaden a boost on it too, as well as Chunac and Ramada. I don't know. Still don't recommend Chunac or the Vision card thing. They're perfectly fine off banners. Halloween Lucia, however, might actually be really interesting for globalers. As for JP, since we're closer to the 3rd anniversary, she kind of seems a little bit less enticing, just because we are going to potentially have Season 3 characters, which are looking pretty hype. And whatever else 3rd anniversary will also come with. So yeah, let me know what you think of Halloween Lucia, if you think Toad is really cool, and if you're going to go for her or not. And happy Halloween to all of you guys, even though this is not Halloween and we're still 2 weeks away from that. See ya.